What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. I'm your host, your bastard of ceremonies, Reckless Rexx Ruger. That, of course, is my toothy sidekick, the Freddie Mercury puppet. We're back with another amazing episode of Pod Scum, the place where only the cool kids come to chop it up with your boy, Rexx Ruger. No place else. You might also know me as AKA Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. Let me also give myself a little confirmation here. Oh, yeah. Looking good, looking like the man himself, the son of glam, the front man for the band, the peanut butter to your jam, Mr. Wham Bam, thank you, ma'am. Wop bop loo bop wop bam bam shazam. Hot damn. Whew. Glad I got that out of my system. Pops would be proud. Got another banger of an episode tonight, man. I can't wait. Literally a fucking legend. So you add me to the mix, you got two legends. Just did the math right there and showed you my work. I'm excited, man. Can't wait to have this guy on here. Let me kick it off by making sure that you guys know to like and follow us on Facebook, and make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell on this channel to stay tapped in. This is where it all goes down. The best conversations. We chop it up like no place else. Be nice once in a while if the Freddie Mercury puppet back there would concur and agree, but again, a mouthful of teeth. But when is he not? And of course, no editing. 51-year-old guy right here. Can't be bothered with editing. It's real life happening in real time. It's the only way to do it. I won't hear of it. Editing. I scoff at the concept. And before my guest gets in here, again, let me throw my disclaimer out here. Well, a little product placement first. If you want to quaff like Roth, boom. Kids, that's what I use. Get it, use it, love it. And of course, my big disclaimer is you might not look this good. You might not be able to claim yourself to be one of the Roth clan like me and Pops up there can, but you could probably get pretty damn good looking. You know, I mean, hell, it's hairspray. It's not a miracle potion. Some of you ugly fucks could, use tons of it and it wouldn't do a damn thing. But anyway, let me just touch on the fact that, again, I always like to show gratitude. We are up over 200 episodes right now, man. And big thank you and a big ups to everybody out there that comes on here and chops it up with me, man. I don't think for a second that you're not appreciated. And there's just isn't tons of gratitude come from over here. And I love chopping it up with each and every one of you. And in my opinion, some of the most interesting conversations, man, with some of the most talented people ever, man. And we got one of them here right now, so let's get down to it and chop it up. He's here. Let's do it. What are we waiting for? Wow, Danny, it's a fucking honor, man. I can't even believe it, man. It still seems surreal, man. You're such a fucking legend, man. To see you pop up there, man, I'm honored.
Bro,
Beautiful.
the energy. Crazy.
I'm coming at you with energy, man. I'm coming at you with David Lee Roth Jr. energy. Can you see the...
You look just like him.
Yeah, thank you. As I've told past guests before, when it comes time to proving this in court, I may subpoena you on that, or at least quote you.
I don't think it'll matter if I appear.
So listen, Danny Schuler from Biohazard.
Speaking of David Lee Roth, I was with Alex Van Halen last night.
What?
I met him at a book signing last night. It was incredible.
Yeah, he just came out with that book, Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to get the audio version of it. I had a couple of eye surgeries last year for some detached retinas, and I've really been leaning on those audio books like crazy. And the nice thing about that one is Alex himself actually narrates it. So
yeah, I've been listening in the morning when I work out.
Yeah,
and pretty cool.
I love those.
So what's up?
Nothing, man. I'm happy to have you on here, man. And I got so much I want to dig into with you, man. And I feel like for people that might not know your origin story, when you got started on this musical trajectory, man, doing it for a living, was there an album or an artist or a song that really kind of lit the fuse for you?
Not just one. There were many. Big music fan. I'm still a music fan. Lots of bands, a million bands I love, and there were so many that inspired us to do what we do. For sure, I mean, Biohazard would not exist without the original New York hardcore bands and some of the original hardcore punk bands like Bad Brains, the bands from New York, like Cro-Mags, Agnostic Front, Murphy's Law, we wouldn't exist. Warzone, we
Yeah.
wouldn't exist without Sheer Terror, Carnivore. Those bands all really showed us the way. But there was a lot of other stuff too. I was always more of like, as a kid, very into rock, like Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of that influence on all of us too, aside from like the punk rock and the hardcore punk later on, and you know, all that crossover type stuff that followed. But yeah, all that stuff had a huge influence on all of us, and you know, Van Halen,
Yeah.
even, you know. So
And then who's the guy in the band who really brings that hip hop element into it? Because certainly, and I was listening in anticipation of doing this interview. I was downstairs, you know, waiting to do
Yeah.
this and rocking to some old Biohazard. And when I'm looking at the original, which there are still certainly a lot of elements of rap rock on there, man. That's 1990, man. I don't think too many people predate you in doing that.
yeah, we were one of the original, one of the early ones to incorporate that into what was going on with the heavy stuff. And I mean, that just really, it wasn't really like, I just got to make this a little louder. Hold on a
Maybe
second.
the only people that had done it prior to 1990, maybe the Chili Peppers to an extent, and a little bit Faith No More, but nobody combined it and did it that heavy, though.
Yeah. Yeah, we were coming from a different place than a lot of those other bands also. There really wasn't one guy in the band that brought that element. It was really just kind of a consequence of where we were from.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I was born and raised there. And, you know, in the 70s and the 80s, that was just the music that was everywhere in the street
Yeah.
that I went.
Yeah.
And the kids I went to school with, everybody was just really feeling early hip hop and early rap music back then. And I was a rock kid, you know, and a punk kid. I loved the Ramones, you know, and I loved
Yeah.
Devo, and I loved Van Halen, and I loved Black Sabbath, and Led Zeppelin and stuff. But I also really loved a lot of the early hip hop that came out, like when Grandmaster Flash came out,
Oh, yeah. Legends.
The Message and all that stuff, and Run DMC. I mean, everybody loved it. You know, all the kids I went to school with, that was the music in the hallways of my
Oh,
junior high
yeah.
school and
Yeah.
high
I'm
school in
51 years
Brooklyn.
old. I'm 51. So, yeah, it was very much for me, too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for a lot of people, you know. And you know, I think it was a New York thing too. And at that time in New York, you know, the early 80s really was like when the New York hardcore scene was really starting to really gel and become like a real scene
Yeah.
downtown.
Yeah.
And you know, it was like that hardcore scene was real underground, but the hip hop thing was still really underground in the early 80s too.
Oh, sure.
So I think it was only a matter of time before that all kind of came together. And I mean, we came along in the mid to late 80s. And you know, at that time, still nobody was really putting together like the real like hardcore shit, like the shit from the streets,
Yeah.
and the, you know, the hip hop kind of stuff that we were, you know, feeling in New York, you know. So yeah, I never said that we were the first to do it, but I think we were one of the first to do it with a real heavy lean to it.
Definitely.
And I think we always did it authentically.
Yeah.
I think we always you know, did it authentically, and you know, paid tribute to the originators. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And what was the creative process like when you guys got together to make music? Because I look at you guys as all pretty creatively prolific. I mean, Evan, Billy, all you guys, man. Well, you know, was it truly collaborative, or did someone come in with more of the lion's share of the ideas?
It's really all over the place in
Yeah.
Biohazard. I mean, sometimes there's one guy brings in a couple of songs, and we kind of go with that. Sometimes there's somebody has an idea, and we're all together in the jam room, and we kind of all work through it together. It kind of happens a lot of different ways, but you know, we are all four guys are very creative. Some more than others, but everybody creates and brings in stuff. So there's no one writer in Biohazard. There's never really been. But we all write, and now, you know, we're getting ready to record a new record, and we have so much new stuff, and it's been really cool lately. Very creative environment lately to be around, with everybody writing new stuff and getting psyched for new albums. It's cool. cool
Why
right
do you
now.
think
We got
right
a lot
now
of
is the
stuff.
time? Why do you think right now is the best time for a new album? The last one was 2012.
Well, I don't know if right now is the best time. I don't know. I don't think in terms of like, oh, well, let's do an album now because now's the best time. Like I don't know that stuff. I don't know when's
Right.
a good time to do a record.
Right.
I just know when I feel inspired, and I know when I'm coming up with stuff that I feel is real strong and meaningful. Um, and lately it's been a good time for that kind of creative process. So for me, like when the ideas are flowing and everything feels real natural, real strong, that's a good time to do a record. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. The
Everybody's in that
mojo's
creative
working.
mode. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Business wise, I don't know when's a good time to do a record. I'm not a businessman, in that regard with the
I'm
music business.
I'm glad you mentioned though, like those times of the 70s and 80s, man, because
Yeah.
I've read Harley's book, I read Roger's book from Agnostic Front. It was a different, Lower East Side and a different, a different era of New York. Do you think,
Mhm.
I imagine those bands they had a certain DIY attitude, they had a certain ethos. Is that able to exist in today's music, man? Like, can bands still tap into that hardcore ethos, or is that just a bygone era?
Well, you mentioned Harley, you mentioned Roger. I mean, these guys created
Yeah,
hardcore punk.
yeah,
They created the mold that we stepped into, and we took it a step in another direction. We owed it to what the people who created what we do. We owed it to them to make it evolve. You know what I mean?
yes,
We didn't want to do what they did because I mean, Biohazard. We weren't going to come along and do it agnostic front style or do a Chromag style because they do it better than us. Um, we knew we had to inject our own style into what they did. But as far as answering your question, can bands today exist with that mentality? I guess is that what you said, or the
yeah, yeah,
ethos of
yeah.
the hardcore band? You know, I think they can. I know they can for sure. It's all about attitude. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you have to place yourself in a different state of mind to do this kind of music because this is not pop music. This is not these are not love songs like you're writing to your girlfriend.
Right.
We write songs about the harsher things in life for whatever reason. That's what strikes a chord with us. And you know, um, when I say us, I'm not lumping myself in or lumping Biohazard in with the original New York hardcore scene because
Right.
the original New York hardcore scene is untouchable.
Yeah. It is.
To me,
Yeah.
you know, Bad Brains, Chromags, Agnostic Front, Murphy's Law, Sheer Terror, all the bands from that era
Legendary.
are
Yeah.
legendary, untouchable, and
Yeah.
they do it better than anybody.
Yeah. I
So for
agree.
us to come along and try to copy what they do would be an insult. We had to take what they did and pay tribute to it and evolve it in another direction to keep the culture going.
Yeah.
And
I'm an
that
upstate New
happened
York guy
naturally.
myself. So I mean, I'm
Yeah,
proud of the New York hardcore scene.
yeah,
I always get the common thing when I tell someone that I'm from New York, they instantly equate it to the city. Like no other part of New York exists. Like
yeah,
people don't even
yeah,
people aren't even aware that there's
yeah,
an upstate. They just think, what borough are you
yeah.
from?
Yeah, I mean, I got that too growing up because I was in Brooklyn, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And as a kid, all we ever did was go buy records when we were little kids.
Yeah.
And to buy records, you had to go into the village. You had to go into the East Village in New York
Right.
City. So it was like, I'd go into the village on a Saturday afternoon, 14 years old, and we would go to all the record stores. We'd go to Tower Records, we'd go to Sounds, we'd go to Rat Cage, we'd go to Bleecker Bob's, and they had all the cool records there. We couldn't get those records really in Brooklyn.
Right.
Sometimes we'd go to Zigzag Records, sometimes we'd go to Titus Oaks Records, which were stores in Brooklyn, and they had a lot of great stuff too, but it was way more heavy metal. If you wanted to get into the punk stuff and the imports, you had to go into Manhattan to get the record.
Yeah.
And we would run into street kids there all the time, skinheads and punk rockers. And they'd always be like, "Where are you from?" "Oh, we're from Brooklyn." Fuck Brooklyn.
Wow.
It
Yeah. It's
it
that
was very
territorial.
like it was very territorial. And we
Yeah.
were long-haired kids too. So that wasn't really a thing back then for a lot of these punk rock kids. They didn't like the long-haired kids coming to shows. They didn't like the heavy metal influence on the shows back
Yeah.
then. But that was New York, that was New York back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? It was an amazing scene filled with amazing people.
Yeah.
And Biohazard kind of came in on the tail end of it. We started in the later 80s, and a lot of the original New York stuff had died down somewhat. The scene had changed, I think, quite a bit. I don't know. I wasn't there in the beginning, so I really can't talk too much about it. But I know when we came around, it felt like the shows at CBGB's were barely holding on for dear life. You know what I mean? Like, it was a lot of problems at CB, so they couldn't really do shows there. And it was very underground when we started. But yeah, I mean, thank God bands like Agnostic Front, kept it going, and Cro-Mags in one form or another have kept it going, and John Joseph with Blood Clot and everything else has kept it going, and Jimmy with Murphy's Law has always kept it going. It's an amazing thing to see and be a fan of.
So I had seen in another interview that this reunion actually came about with a chance encounter with Evan and your brother.
Yeah.
That's serendipitous.
I don't even know what serendipitous means, but I guess it is. Well, it was during COVID, right? And it was probably like 3 years ago or something.
Yeah.
I got a phone call that two of our very close family friend, band guys that we knew had died. One was Sean Kilkenny from Dog Eat Dog, who was a very close friend of ours. We loved their band. We toured together many times over the years. And Sean was a guitar player in Dog Eat Dog and in Mucky Pup for a little while. And he played with Murphy's Law, a couple other bands too. And Sean was a great friend of ours. He was a brother. Sean passed away. And then I got a phone call right after that Scott Koenig, who was our manager, Biohazard's manager all throughout all those years.
Yeah.
More than a manager. He was like the fifth member of the band. He was a brother. He died as well the same day. And it was just like, I was sitting on the phone that day with Drew Stone, who had called me to tell me these things. And I was just like, this is right like during COVID, and everybody had just come out of like the lockdown and stuff. And I remember just thinking to myself, like, man, life is too short to like hold a grudge with anybody. Like, why hold on to like poisonous shit like that when life is so, it just goes like that, you just,
amen to that.
COVID was that, huh?
Yeah, I said amen to that. It is. It's too short.
COVID was like a reminder of that for a lot of people. And then like losing Scott, losing Sean the same day.
Yeah.
It was just like, I was like, really, we were very devastated. Anyway, that led to, a phone call with Billy and Bobby and myself getting on the phone and all talking about it and talking about Scott and all the good times and the hard times and everything else, and talking about Sean and all that stuff, just reminiscing about our boys. And a couple of days later, my brother was coming in from California. My brother Rich lives in California now. And he was coming in to visit. It was like, like Thanksgiving time or whatever. And after he came, the day after he got here, he came, he flew to New York, and he gets here and he's like, yo, you won't believe who I ran into at the airport. And I was like, who? And now I hadn't spoken to Evan in like 10 years or something.
Yeah.
10 or 11 years or something. We hadn't spoke, I had been speaking regularly to Bobby Hamble. Me and Bobby kind of always spoke, like we were always keeping in touch. Billy and I, though, hadn't really kept in touch that much since the band ended.
Yeah.
Here and there, hey, what's up, bro? How you doing? Everybody okay? Like, we would check in on each other. But he moved to Los Angeles, and, it's just hard. Somebody's on the other side of the world.
Sure.
I'm over here on the East Coast. He's on the West Coast.
Yep.
So I heard from Billy less. I heard from Bobby more. But the three of us were in touch. But nobody had spoken to Evan. And my brother runs into him at the airport. My brother's getting on the plane to fly to New York to come visit us for the holidays. And he tells me, man, you won't believe it. I'm standing there at the gate, and who's sitting there but Evan? And I was like, no shit. And he was like, yeah, man, my brother. I mean, we all knew Evan from when we were kids.
Right.
We all came from the same neighborhood. We all knew each other. So my brother walked over to him and said hello. And Evan, they hugged and they talked. And I guess at some point my brother mentioned to Evan, you and Danny should talk, you guys should get on the phone, And Evan was like, tell Danny I said hi. And my brother was like, yo, you should give him a call. Like he was like, give him a call. And this is right after Scott Koenig passed away and Sean passed away. And I was like, I said to my wife, I was like, maybe I should give Evan a call, man. Life is short. This is stupid. What are we all mad at each other about? Anyway, I don't even remember. I don't even remember what was the matter.
It does get to that point after a while. I know. It gets crazy. Like you think, what am I holding on to here?
Like we went through so much together. We grew up together. We went on the road together. We, achieved some measure of success together and failures and had great times and horrible times and everything else. But we always stuck together through all that stuff. And we're very different people, Evan and I, personality wise and priority wise. But, I was like, maybe I should call him. And my wife just like looked at me and she was like, you know what? Stop being a schmuck. Just call the guy, just call him. Like, what are you guys doing? Just call each other. Just call, make a phone call. So I texted him like a pussy. I texted him. I still had the phone on. I was like, yo, man, this is Danny Schuler. How are you? Do you want to talk? And put the phone down, didn't even look at it. And like 2 minutes later, boop, boop, it's yes, let's talk. And it was Evan. And I was leaving on vacation that day. Like my family, we were going down to the Jersey Shore to go to like, hang out at the beach house for a couple of days. I guess it was the summertime. I guess it wasn't the holiday time. I don't know. I got my dates mixed up. But we were going down to do like a family vacation. And the whole drive down, the whole hour and a half, I sat on the phone with Evan and we talked. And we just had a great conversation. Like it was like weird for like 5 seconds. Like, yo, Ev, what's up? It's Danny. Yo, what's up, man? And then like a minute later, we were laughing and bullshitting like no time had passed. And I knew right then, I was like, this was stupid. Like not talking to each other for all that time was just like childish. It was stupid. We may be different people.
And the olive branch was the best thing you could do. It really is.
I guess.
Yeah, it is.
I guess, man. Life is, I still say it now, like life is just too short, man. Those friends you make when you're a kid, those friends who you go through things with and you grow up with, that's like that doesn't come along. You get older and it becomes much harder to make friends like that and to maintain friendships like that. It becomes super hard, man. So you gotta like your bros, your guys, you gotta like keep up with them. You gotta make an effort, to keep up with them and stuff. And I learned that lesson for sure with this shit with the band. Like all that time away was just unnecessary. But it brought us to where we are now, and where we are now is a pretty good spot. So I can't really, I guess I can't really complain about it. But that's how it really started to happen. The reunion. I mean, when Evan and I, when we first spoke, we didn't even talk about the band. It was just like an hour and a half on the phone talking about life, talking about each other and about life. We didn't even bring up the band because at that point it was like 2021 or whatever. The band hadn't done anything in 5 or 6 years. There was no band.
Right.
So
it had been a while.
Nothing to talk about. Yeah.
Well, you when you left the band in 2006, man, what happened? How did you hook up with John Joseph? Like, was that just like you were leaving Biohazard specifically to do that, or that just happened to come along?
John and I are very good friends. I love John like a brother, and I really greatly respect him. I respect all the Cro-Mags guys. I do. I don't partake in the beef, that those guys may have with each other.
But it's there. Yeah.
Those guys created something that is so amazing to me. John, Harley, Paris, Doug, Mackie, they created something that is just timeless and incredible. It's unfortunate that they can't get it together with themselves, but that's another story and not my business. But John and I have always been friends. I've always loved John and respected John. And I always thought he was really great. And me and him had talked a few times about maybe doing something together, at some point, doing a musical thing together at some point. But I was always too busy, if it wasn't the band, I was, my kids, life just gets busy and it's hard. But, when Scott Roberts entered the picture, with Biohazard, which was around 2003, I guess. Scott had been playing in Cro-Mags with John, and Scott coming around kind of like, um, like just hanging out talking to Scott all the time. John's name would always come up. And then, when the Biohazard thing just kind of like started falling apart, Scott was like, yo, why don't we just get John and try to do something?
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Maybe now is the time to do that. So we did. We got together, we talked about it. And we're like, yo, let's just do something new. And John was like, we could do something new, but we could call it Blood Clot. And we knew Blood Clot was his old band, but I was like, that's cool. Why not do that? That's like John's nickname anyway.
Yeah.
We always called him Blood Clot. So yeah, that was how that happened. And we got in the studio together and just started working, writing songs together. And I learned right away that John is like a phenomenal songwriter. I mean, he had this lyric book. I would talk to him about lyrics. Scott and I would come up with all this music, and we had a studio. I had a studio here in New Jersey, and Scott and I would record the music, and we were working on real heavy stuff. And John would come in with Rick, the guy who was playing bass with us, and I'd be like, bro, what do you got for lyrics? You got any lyrics? And he'd be like, yeah, I got some stuff, but nothing really for this. He's and then one day I'm sitting there with him, and I look in his bag, and I'm like, yo, what's that book? And he's like, man, that's nothing. I was like, what is it? And he's like, oh, that's a book of poems, lyrics, and I write shit down in there, man. And I said, let me see that book, man. So I opened it up, and it was like John's lyric book, and he had hundreds of pages,
gems
of all these things that he was like, write ideas and stories and movies and a TV show and lyrics and concepts and recipes and all. He just had all this craziness in a book, and it was like his brain was on the paper.
He's a sharp guy.
Yeah, he's crazy, and he's very creative, and he's got a lot of great crazy ideas. But in that book, he just had so many amazing lyrics. Every page I looked at, I was like, John, this is amazing. The next page, I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like every page.
He's got a couple of books out that are amazing. A couple audio books out that are amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He's great.
He's incredible.
But it was really easy writing songs with him because he had so many great ideas for songs. It was just his lyric book was just filled with incredible stuff. It was great.
I'm curious as a musician where you stand on, because I consider you guys every bit a legendary band. Urban Discipline, a seminal album, man. So many people hail that album. It's a fucking masterpiece, man. I don't like to throw the word around like that, like loosely, man, but it really fucking is, man. But when bands have been around a long time, like say for instance, I hate to use them as the whipping boy all the time, but when you see a legendary band like Kiss, and this is just you from a music fan standpoint, and you see them still out there, but they need to, and I'm not a musician myself, but they got to use backing tracks or these different smoke and mirror tricks to kind of bolster up the sound. Are you okay with that, or do you think a band should just know like when it's time to hang it up?
Backing tracks?
You hear a lot of these people getting criticized, oh, they're not really doing this. A lot of it is bullshit. A lot of it is, pre-recorded shit and all this kind of stuff. And are these legendary acts, still playing their instruments, or how much are they doing up there?
Well, it's not really my place to say. I guess they have their reasons if they're using backing tracks.
Yeah.
And if it's still entertaining people, I mean, whatever. Not my place to say, but for me personally, I wouldn't be comfortable with any kind of backing track in Biohazard or me playing. Like I really enjoy the fact that our band Biohazard is 4 guys who, when we go on stage, it's the 4 of us playing our instruments live.
Yeah,
mistakes and all the whole time. So for me personally, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
But I've seen shows where they were definitely using backing tracks, and I thought the show was great. Like, so I can't really say, hey, buddy, sorry, my son just walked in.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Yeah. I agree with you, man.
I can't really say whether it's good or bad. It ain't for me. I can tell you that. Biohazard ain't using no backing tracks.
I would much rather see the warts and all approach too. You know, everyone out there nowadays is a music critic. They're capturing these snippets. They're putting them on YouTube. You know, what I mean, everybody now seems to be like a music critic. You know, what I mean, they want to take these performances home, critique them, rip them apart in the comment section. You know, it's kind of irresponsible because first of all, it's hard to replicate what you did 30 years ago. You know, it's hard.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's a lot that goes into doing a live show.
Sure.
You know, and if you're a performer, and you know, and if you know, it's your responsibility to like do your job.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a drummer. You know, if I don't do my job, which is like practice and stay on top of my chops and keep myself in some kind of physical condition so I could still do this at the right level, then I'm just not doing my job.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if I'm gonna call myself the drummer in Biohazard, that means my job is to play the drums in Biohazard.
Yeah.
And that means I got to do what it takes to be a drummer. It's a very physical, athletic job. And I got to do what it takes. If I'm not doing that, then I shouldn't be doing that job.
I'm glad you said I'm glad you said you have to be able to do what it takes. Are you somebody over the years, because you do play a punishing style of drums? I've talked to a lot of other drummers on here who sometimes have to adjust the height of the stool or the arrangement of things or whatever. You know, have you had to make improvise things yourself?
I guess somewhat. I guess. I don't know. I've always kind of had an ergonomic style. Like even when I was younger, I was always interested in like, you know, I want to do this so it's easy. I don't want to have to strain myself.
Right.
But I mean, I've had lots of injuries over the years, lots of like overuse type injuries.
Yeah.
You know, my neck, my back, my shoulders, my knees, everything, you know, playing drums in a band like Biohazard is a very physical endeavor.
No doubt.
So, you know, you got to take care of yourself. So you got to eat right. You got to get enough sleep. You got to work out. You got to keep yourself in some kind of shape. You know, it ain't easy going up there for an hour, 10, hour 20. And, you know, to go up there and do it at the level people expected you to do it at, you got to really put out a lot of energy. So
talk to him, Danny. Listen up, young musicians out there. God damn it, stay in shape, man. It's not for the faint of heart.
Hey, stay healthy. Well, you know, I mean, you know, don't abuse yourself too much. You know, you got to have fun. Got to have fun, but don't let your performances suffer. Everybody's relying on the drummer. You know, you gotta keep it together. Now, people are too used to perfection now.
Yeah,
you know, I see these bands. You're talking about backing tracks and stuff. Yeah. The people are too used to perfection.
Yep.
You know, with all the computer stuff and everything now, all the software people use to create music. You know, for me, if it works, it works, and I get it. But I like to make music with other musicians. You know, I like to sit in a room together, play together, sweat together, fight it out. And it comes from our guts, you know? It comes from our guts. And like recently, somebody said to me recently, like, you know, you guys have been around since the late 80s, early 90s, you know? Are you going to change your sound to sound more like the new hardcore bands now? And I was like, you know, it got me thinking. I was like, the new hardcore bands now, they all tune down really low. We've done that. We did that years ago. Yeah. We've always done that, but we don't tune down as low as these bands do. And they all make these very precise sounding, perfect records. They all trigger all the drums on the records and make it sound perfect and everything else. I have never triggered my drums on a record. I don't see the need to do it. We use, like, you record in Pro Tools, but we use it like a tape machine.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, to me, people are too used to it being perfect. And perfect music just doesn't make sense to me. Music is human. Humans are imperfect. Music is emotion you can hear, and it makes you feel something.
Yeah.
And however you make it, there's nothing wrong with that. But me personally, I get the most out of it when it's, you know, me and Bobby Hamble and Billy and Evan all together in a room, sweating it out. I mean, we just spent a week in the studio in California last week, and we were literally, the four of us, playing in a room that was like 8 feet by 10 feet.
Yeah.
A tiny little studio.
Yeah.
No air conditioning, soundproofed, dark, just like a little tiny shack of a room. The four of us were compressed in, you know, playing our new shit and recording our new shit in this little tiny room. And it was so awesome. You know, I had Bobby right here, I had Billy right here, I had Evan right in my face.
Yeah.
And it was friggin' awesome. You know, it stunk in there,
Yeah.
but it was great. You know, it was like such a great way to make music. You know, I love that approach. I love that. That's what Biohazard is. So we're not going to change what we do to sound like everybody else and make it heavier and all this other shit. What we do is what we do, man.
Well,
And
it isn't that
people like it, they like it.
Isn't that the epitome of rock and roll too? I mean, to a certain extent, man. To a certain extent, do you really want that perfection, or do you want it to be a little bit loose? You know, I mean, and crude.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Really loose. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that.
I mean, one thing that I find, you know, that really like draws me to a band like Motorhead is it kind of sounds like a lot of mayhem on there, like you know, like it's slightly organized chaos, but it sounds very loose and sloppy. Yet,
I agree.
Still awesome.
I agree. I love that. You could feel the energy of it.
Yeah,
like the chaotic craziness.
Yeah,
is a little scary, you know.
Yeah,
and that's cool. I love that.
So, of course,
I would be too perfect. You lose that.
I would be remiss because you did bring up new music. So can you speak on any kind of a timeline when we think we will see this Biohazard music? Is it realistic that probably more likely 2025?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. 2025. Yes.
Okay. That's pretty fucking exciting, man. I mean,
Jesus Christ. It can't be 2024.
New Biohazard music. Dude, that's just saying the words new Biohazard music is mind blowing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's going to be really good. But, you know, I don't know. We'll see.
No pressure, Danny, but after 12 years, it fucking better be.
It's going to be. Believe me, it's going to be really good.
I wouldn't expect anything less from you guys. Are you able to look back, you know, on what you've done and appreciate your legacy? Like, you seem like such a humble guy, man. But I don't think I'm just blowing smoke, because I've heard more people tell me and hail Urban Discipline, you know, as I did, as a masterpiece. I mean, certainly that's got to feel fucking good that album has been just considered so seminal and so fucking amazing, even holding up over time.
I'm constantly surprised how people continuously bring that up to me.
Yeah.
You know, Urban Discipline, State of the World Address. Oh man, those records changed my life. Those records, this and that. It surprises me all the time. And when I think back to when we were creating the music for those records and recording those records, we were just being ourselves. You know, I don't want to say it was easy, because it definitely wasn't easy, but we were just being who we were, and it fit. I don't know, maybe it was the time that the world was in, you know, the music scene was in at that time, but it worked for what it was. But I mean, it's such an honor when people tell us or tell me, you know, Urban Discipline changed my life. You know, I mean, I just recently, a couple of months ago, I was at a show, and we were playing a show, and my sons were with me, and my sons are all musicians as well. And we were playing with this band. I don't want to mention names, but a great younger band. And my son loves the drummer. My one son, who plays the drums, loves the drummer of this band. And we were playing with the band. And at some time in the afternoon, I saw the drummer walking around backstage. So I just introduced myself to people. I don't care. I'll go talk to anybody.
Sure.
So I just walked over to him. I was like, yo, man, my name's Danny. I play in Biohazard. I just want to say what's up, because I really love your band. And he was like, wow, nice to meet you. And he said to me that he learned how to play drums. He said when he was a kid, his father handed him the Urban Discipline cassette.
Wow.
And said, yeah, listen to this. You know, if you want to play that kind of music, listen to this. And I was like, it's really funny you say that, because my son right here listens to you guys and plays drums to you guys.
Talk about it. It's like a full circle, man. Wow.
Exactly. It's like a full circle moment. It's pretty cool. But yeah, that happens a lot, and it's amazing, and it's very humbling to be to have people tell us what our music means to them and that they really like it. You know, that's what we do it for. You know, we do it, we record it so we can share it, and hopefully everybody can get something out of it. You know, and we've been very fortunate with that. It's very humbling.
And so now that you're making new music now with the band, has the creative process changed at all from back then? Are you guys all writing songs?
We're all writing songs. The big difference now is that we're not all on Flatbush Avenue doing it together anymore.
Right.
You know, we're separated now. Everybody's all over the place. I mean, we were together last week for a few days after we played a show in Sacramento, Aftershock, and then we went down to LA to record. So it's a little different in that regard that we're not together all the time working on the songs like we used to be. But I mean, even still, Bobby Hamble was. This is my house. Obviously, this is my studio I'm in right now.
Right.
And I had Bobby Hamble here the last 4 days. He and I together working on music here. So we do that. We send it to the other guys. They work on stuff. They send it back to us. You know, we jam on it. You know, it's a different world now. You know, everybody does things through the internet. So that's okay. We can work that way too.
Yeah.
I don't care. However it works. But hasn't changed that much. We're still all doing the same things we always did, creating and keeping it real.
And when you're going to write a song for you personally, what's your creative process like? Like, where do you draw inspiration from? Are you somebody that has to go kind of sequester yourself away? Are you getting ideas like just popping in throughout the day? How does it work for you personally when you're going to write music?
I'm the kind of guy who, when the inspiration hits, the ideas hit, I have to record it in some form immediately.
Yeah.
That's me. You know, I'll get an idea for a song title. I'll get a melody. I'll get a rhyme in my head. I'll get a riff. I'll be playing guitar. I mean, I kind of like do this thing where I get up very early in the morning, and the first thing I do is, well, not the first thing I do, but real early in the morning, like before 6 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm sometimes sitting right here with my guitar playing riffs. For whatever reason, that's like the hour that works for me. And I'll just come up with stuff and start recording it. And later that day, I'll lay the drums and do the whole thing and just put it all together. When inspiration strikes, I have to record it immediately. That's what works best for me.
And then
I don't
what
know
if
how everybody else
what if a
works.
lyric idea comes and you're in the car or something? What do? You speak it into a phone or
I
something?
record it in the voice notes on my phone,
Yeah.
which is full of insanity. The voice notes
Yeah.
on my phone.
I'll bet.
Me humming riffs and lyrics and ideas and screaming at it and everything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you're, I don't want to say an artist because that sounds kind of like sophisticated. But if you're somebody who, you know, is documenting your art, you know, it's your responsibility. When the inspiration hits, you better record it.
Yeah.
You better pay attention. You know,
That's what your fans are waiting for. Yeah. You're sparks of genius. More
even beyond the fans, it's like our responsibility as artists. Like when the inspiration hits, you have to do something with that. So wherever I am, I have to figure out a way to record it. So like I said, my phone is full of hundreds of hours of riffs and drum beats and lyrical ideas and all this other stuff, because wherever I am, if the inspiration strikes, I'm recording it.
And of course, I didn't want to just single Urban Discipline out, obviously. You know, that album just always pops up so much. Actually, I believe it was Sal from Sworn Enemy, who I had on a couple weeks ago, who literally said that the first 4 Biohazard albums are all fucking absolutely perfect.
I love Sal.
Yeah,
I love Sal, and I love Sworn Enemy. They're a great band.
Yeah. So you've done so much touring and done the festival thing and been out there on the road so much. You're doing it right now with Biohazard. Does the narrative change on the touring as you get older? Like I said earlier, I'm 51. I know I don't tour as a musician. I have a 9-to-5 job. I'm a nurse. I work in healthcare. I come home at the end of the day, but I know I like my creature comforts, and I know I like being a homebody as I get older. Do you still like the existence of being out on the road? It's, you know, kind of nomadic, you know, kind of out there away from home.
I'm so used to it.
Yeah.
You know, even on the couple-year break that we had where I didn't tour at all, it was like when we went back on the road for the first time after me being home for 5 years, 6 years, whatever it was. The first week I was just immediately right back into road mentality. Like it's so natural to me to be constantly moving in a new city every day, new places, everything's different. I'm so used to it. I've been doing it since I'm 18 years old. So, you know, I don't think that'll ever go away. I always love traveling. You know, I always love going new places, revisiting old places, exploring places. I'm not the guy who goes on the road and hides on the bus all day.
Right.
You know, I'm the guy who wakes up and it's like, yo, where are we? Peoria? I'm going out, you know, and I like take off for the day. I'll go walk for hours by myself. You know, I do that every day anyway.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I love to explore. I love to just see what's out there, get out in the sunshine or the rain or whatever it is, and just breathe and walk and think and I explore. So I love traveling and I want to travel more. And so yeah, the touring thing never it gets old when you're out there and it's hard, you get a little sick after a while, the shitty food and the lack of sleep and living on the bus is hard or in the van or whatever the situation may be.
Yeah.
And then flying constantly, getting on a plane and going and this and that. It gets old after a while. It's always great to go home.
Yeah.
But I love being on the road. What's not to love? I mean, it's great. Wherever we go, we see our old friends, we make new friends, we get to play a show. People appreciate what we do. I love food. I love to travel and try local food and local things and
Sure.
experience other cultures. So for me, it's like it's amazing. It's amazing to see what life is like. It's a great gift.
And because you've been out there so much, man, has there been anybody that you've had the opportunity to meet in the industry where you've kind of been like, starstruck or awestruck a little bit, or just met somebody who you'd idolized?
Many, so many. I mean, I've met so many famous people, famous musicians, famous drummers over the years.
Is there one that's really been a mind blower, man? Just one that really fucking blew your mind where you were just like, I can't believe I'm meeting him right now.
Last night, meeting Alex Van Halen last night.
Yeah,
It was
that's
only
big.
for 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's
But
big.
for me, when I was a little kid, I used to sit there on the drums and learn how to play the drums, listening to Alex Van Halen play the drums with Van Halen, and among other things. So, last night we got to meet Alex Van Halen, and I was like, I walked over to him and I was just like, hey, and he's real busy. He's meeting a whole bunch of people. He didn't have a lot of time, but I just told him, I said, hey, I play the drums. And I love you. And, I've listened to you since I'm a little kid. These are my sons. They were with me last night. I introduced them to my sons. As soon as he saw my sons and figured out that they were brothers and they play together in a band,
yeah,
it was like him and Eddie are brothers.
Yeah.
Then he was like, you guys are brothers. You guys got to play together. You got to play together. Share the spotlight.
Yeah.
Like he said a lot of awesome things. But that was pretty mind blowing for me. I don't get starstruck. I'm not a big fan of celebrity. Like I don't care about being famous
healthy.
Myself. Is it? I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I do sometimes see people on social media where it does look a little desperate and sad when they're really just, they act like they're so enamored with having to have this person sign something or get a picture with them. These are people that just put their pants on one leg at a time like the rest of us.
Yeah. I feel the same way. Yeah,
I appreciate what they do, certainly, man. But do I necessarily think their life is worth more than anybody else's? I mean, at the end of the day,
no. But I do admire the creative people who have really figured out the magic of creativity.
Yeah,
and have really become great antennas for incredible ideas and turn that into beautiful songs and music that really lasts and is really classic and timeless. I really admire that in people. And not just in music, but in art in general, like I said, I've met a lot of famous people at the airports. I've met Willem Dafoe and lots of actors. And, it's always great to do that. But meeting Alex Van Halen was pretty mind blowing. Being a drummer and learning how to play drums, listening to somebody like him, that was pretty huge.
That's huge.
Meeting Bill Ward from Black Sabbath years ago.
Huge.
Totally. For me, was just like sitting down with one of the gods,
without a doubt. Yeah. Certainly a godfather of extreme music for sure.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I told him, I said, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even be here.
Yeah.
I was just a fucking loser.
It's almost like as important as your own dad.
Yeah, I told when I met Bill Ward that years ago, the first time, I told him that. I said, if it wasn't for you, I mean, I wouldn't even do anything. I was just a bum. I had no goals, no ambition, no shot. I had no shot.
Yeah.
And then I started listening to Black Sabbath and everything changed. All of a sudden, I had a bunch of crazy ideas that maybe I could do this too. Yeah. And, I told him that and he like hugged me, he like hugged me. And that was pretty amazing. I'll tell you one good one real quick.
Yeah.
One good one. Years ago, we were on tour. This is probably 30 years ago. We were doing a festival tour in Europe. Sorry, my light turned off here. And we were finishing up. It was like we were on the road for like 17 months straight. And the last show of the whole 17 months was in Denmark. And after the show, we had like a crazy like boat to a bus to another boat to a small plane to England to get a big plane, and then finally back to New York. And then we had to go to like upstate New York because we were all going to a UFC that weekend, and then flying back to Brooklyn. Anyway, we get to the airport in Copenhagen, and it's like 4:00 in the morning after the show. Everybody's exhausted. We got like 3 hours until the gate even opens at the airport. So everybody's laying on the floor sleeping, knapsacks under our heads. We're just laying on the floor, cold in the airport, whatever. And I'm starving, it's like 4 a.m. and I am absolutely starving. So I'm in the airport. This is in Copenhagen. And I'm like, I got to go find some food. There's got to be something open, So I start walking around the airport, and the only thing I can find, some guy tells me, oh, there's a little bar that's open over there and the other by the gate over there, little bar. Go into that bar, they can make you a little sandwich. I was like, all right, cool. I walk into the bar by myself, and there's a crowd, a small group of people at the bar. And I like walk among them to try to get the attention of the bartender and figure out if there's any food or whatever. And without even realizing it, I'm standing next to James Brown. And I was like quickly, I realized I recognized his wife from TV. It was James Brown, his wife, his manager, and a couple other people in his entourage. He had just finished playing some jazz festival somewhere, and they were flying out, and they were waiting for their flight too, and they were hanging out in the bar at the airport. And I was like, oh my God, James Brown. And he looked at me, he was like, hello. And I was like, Godfather #1,
Yeah.
and we just started talking. And I was like, oh my God, I got to go get my friends. Can I go get my friends to come meet you? And he was like, yeah, sure. And I said, can I go get a camera and take a picture with you? And he was like, yeah, sure. So I ran out of the bar, forgot about the food, ran back to the gate where the rest of the guys were all sleeping on the floor. And I was like, yo, you guys, you got to wake up, man. James Brown is in the bar. And Bobby Hamble was the one who was like, what? I was like, James Brown is at the bar. I was just hanging out with James Brown. He was like, no way. So me and Bobby go back and walk into the bar, and I find a little gift shop in the airport. And I run in there, and I'm like, I need a camera. Do you have cameras? And at the time, all they had were those little cardboard disposable ones.
I remember.
With the thing,
sure.
With the button you would hold for the flash.
Sure.
So I bought one of those. It was all in Danish, but the guy was like, yeah, take the camera. So I ran in. There's James Brown. He's putting his jacket on. He jumps off the stool. The girl comes over. She's fixing his hair. And me and Bobby start talking to James Brown. And we just had the most amazing conversation. Talking to him, his wife, his manager. It was just incredible. Like, he was just telling us how hard he was out there working. And it's funny, when we left, he gives me a hug. He goes, young man, it was nice to meet you. And he whispers into my ear, I love to see nothing more than a young man working hard. Don't stop working. And I was like, yes, sir. And we took a picture with the camera, and we left and went back to the gate, and we went about our business. And long story short, when I got back to Brooklyn, my girlfriend and I got back from the airport. She's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I got this roll of film I got to develop right now.
Yeah.
I got James Brown pictures.
I would have done that too. Yeah. Immediately.
Yeah. Right. So we went right to the 1 hour photo on Flatlands Avenue in Rockaway Parkway in Brooklyn. And I dropped off the thing, and I was like, be really careful. I got some great pictures on there. And the guy was like, no problem. I'll call you tomorrow. 24-hour, 1-day photo development, whatever. The guy calls me the next day. He's like, your film is ready, but there's a problem. And I was like, what? And I go and pick it up. And it turns out the guy had sold me the camera that was like a daytime camera with no flash. And none of the pictures came out. It was all too dark, so I didn't get any pictures. Yeah, man, what a bummer. But I still got the memory, man. It's still right here.
Yeah, but there
But
might
yeah.
be, yeah, but there might be nothing that tops meeting James Brown though, dude. I think there
Yeah.
might be people that might rattle off other names, man. But James
Yeah.
Brown's importance in music, man, cannot be fucking denied, man. And just
Yeah.
those smoking hot bands that he fucking had back in the day, man. I mean, he knew how to do it, man. That's an entertainer.
Well, you asked if I had any mind-blowing starstruck moments. That was a pretty mind-blowing
Yeah,
starstruck
yeah, yeah.
moment,
I'm sorry
for
it didn't
sure.
have a happier ending, unfortunately, man. That part fucking.
Oh, it was fine. You know what? You can't win them all. We didn't get
No.
the pictures to prove it, but it
Yeah.
happened, and I got the memories. So, yeah, that was an amazing.
Now, obviously,
moment.
this is a subjective question right here, man. But I ask everybody, man. For you, man, you're a musical artist, as the kids say nowadays. Your goats. Who would be your Mount Rushmore? Your 4 all-time greatest. Not the greatest, but yours.
Well, my all-time greatest rock drummer would be John Bonham from Led Zeppelin,
Okay.
without a doubt. The greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Bass player. That's a tough one, man.
Oh, I like what you're doing. I was asking for 4 artists. You're putting together an actual fucking band.
Yeah, I'm putting together a band. That's the way
I'm saying your 4 greatest artists of all time, man.
Now I'm gonna put together a band.
Great. I like that even more. I should make people do that.
I'm going with
writing
John
this
Bonham.
segment down, Danny. You've helped me here.
I'm going with John Bonham on the drums.
Okay.
I think I'm going with Daryl Jennifer from the Bad Brains on
Oh, I
bass.
love it. Yeah.
It's hard. It's like Daryl Jennifer, Geezer Butler, John and Twistle. It's a tough one. Yeah, I'll go with Daryl.
Okay.
Guitar players. That's tough. Got to go with Eddie Van Halen, I think.
You gotta. Yeah, you have to. That's the right answer there.
I think I got to go with Eddie.
Yeah. If you're drafting a team, dude, Eddie's the #1 pick at guitar.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then like singer. I don't even know if I could pick the singer. I think I'd want to have more than one singer.
Okay.
I think I'd want to have Ozzy sing like the melodic stuff.
Yeah.
I think I'd want to have HR sing like the heavier stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's a formidable band, though.
Yeah, it's a good
That's
band.
formidable.
That'd be a good band.
Extremely, yeah. Now, now the other subjective question I ask people a lot is: if I dropped you, Danny Schuler, on a desert island, man, and you can only take one album with you forever, what would the album be?
I don't know. Shit, that's a tough one.
And I've been being a nice guy on a lot of episodes lately, and I've been building a good rapport with my guests, and I've been saying, you know what? Take somebody's whole discography. I'll let you have the whole artist. But then I'm getting away from the essence of the Desert Island album. But there are people that have picked just one album, though, man. And the majority of them picked it with confidence, a lot of them.
Well, I've been asked that question before, and I'll tell you what I've picked before. I've said Physical Graffiti by Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
That would probably still be it.
Yeah.
For me. But, you know, it's so hard for me to pick that because I have so many different moods, you know. I listen to so many varied type of styles. I mean, like, I was never a guy who's just like, yo, I'm only going to listen to rock.
Me too.
Yo, I'm only going to listen to hardcore.
And that's what makes the Desert Island pick so tough, because you do want that. You do kind of want that, you know, that equity amongst the music where you're going through a lot of different emotions.
Yeah, I always listen to a lot of different stuff. So hard for me to pick just one. But I mean, Physical Graffiti is such a varied masterpiece of a record. You know, probably that.
Yeah.
I never get bored of it. You know, that's like one of the things I put on when I'm like practicing drums. I'll play along to that.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, probably that. Physical Graffiti.
Now you mentioned your kids were musicians, man. Where did their musical taste lie? Like, do they do in the same vein of a style of music that you do, or have they ventured off on their own path?
They have been. My kids have been coming with me to shows since they're all very little.
Yeah.
They have seen Agnostic Front. They've seen the Cro-Mags. They've seen, you know, all the hardcore bands, Madball, Sick of It All.
That's great parenting, Danny.
Thank you. They've been blessed to see all the greats.
Good for them, man.
And they've also seen the great rock bands. You know, they've seen Kiss and they've seen, you know, all that stuff. You know, I've taken them to so many shows. And now they're at the ages now where they go to, that's what they do, is they go to shows.
Yeah.
you know, my son Jake is my oldest son. My daughter is the oldest. She doesn't play any instruments really, but she has a great appreciation of music. But my sons all play. So Jake, my oldest son, plays the guitar and he sings. He's also an actor. He does, you know, community theater and things like that. But he loves hardcore. I mean, he just did a show with me with John Joseph where we played some Bad Brains and Cro-Mag songs and stuff, and John sang.
Yeah.
You know, and my
That's
son
awesome.
played guitar. He also, my son Jake, filled in for Billy at a Biohazard show a couple weeks ago when we played in Ohio at Incarceration Festival. Billy's flight was canceled. He couldn't fly in. And my son jumped up on stage and played like 8 songs with us.
That's a nice moment getting to play with you.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
So he's really good, really talented, and he loves heavy music. And he's forming a hardcore band with my other 2 sons right now as we speak. My son Colton just turned 19, and he's a drummer. And he's a really good drummer. Did I lose you?
No, I'm still here. No, I'm still here.
Okay.
Yep.
My son Colton is a really good drummer, and
Yeah.
he has a band that plays around Jersey where we live all the time. His band is called Redwoods. They got an EP out, and it's brutally heavy hardcore. Really.
Redwood,
Heavy.
pluralized. Redwoods.
Redwoods.
Okay. Oof.
That's
I'm
the name
checking
of their
that
band.
out for sure. That's up my
Yeah.
alley, man. Especially when you're telling me heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's real brutally
Yeah.
heavy. That's my son playing the drums. And my son Brendan plays all kinds of music. He is more like a producer kind of guy. But he's really into intense, heavy music. He's really eclectic tastes in heavy, intense music. He turns me on to a lot of like stuff that I really like that I would
Yeah.
never listen to. And you know, I had him sitting right here the other day tracking guitars in here on one of his songs, and I was just blown away by how good he is. So my sons are going to make some great music. And
Yeah, that's good to hear. That's good. That's
Yeah.
really good to hear. And so going
But they
forward,
love hardcore. They love
so
hardcore
going
music.
forward, you said you alluded to we're going to see new Biohazard music next year. Where would you like to see? You know, is there a long-term plan or goal going forward with Biohazard, or is it just kind of you know, we'll take it you know, in slower steps? I mean, how long would you like to see Biohazard go on? What's the plan beyond this record? Is it to keep making albums and to get back into the full swing of doing the band thing?
Well, I really like doing it, so I don't really see a reason to stop doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really like doing it, so I don't really want to stop. But if it does stop, I'll find another way to keep playing because
Yeah.
you know, I know that for me, my purpose in life is to play music. I mean, that's what I love to do.
Yeah.
You know, so I just want to keep playing music. But with Biohazard, I think that you know, right now we're very energized. You know, these shows that we've done recently have been really, really fun and really amazing. And that's really energized us a lot. You know, it really made us feel like, wow, you know, this is still worth us doing. It's still fun. You know?
Yeah.
And having the opportunity to you know, start putting together a new album has been really cool. So you know, I don't know how long it's going to last. You know, there's a bunch of crazy people in this band, crazy personalities. So you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know, I hope it will last. You know, I mean, I look at guys like Roger and Vinny who've always just
Killing
kept
it
together.
Yeah, and still killing it.
And they're still better than ever. You know.
Oh my God!
Like,
and then Vinny just wrote a book. Yeah, they're on fire. Roger's got a book out. Yeah.
They're doing everything.
Yeah.
As they should. You
Yeah.
know, and like I look up to those guys, and I'm like, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, that they're still paving the way for everybody else.
Yeah,
you know?
without doubt. And I'll tell you, I saw him like a year and a half ago, man. And even though Roger had been going through some health issues, man, they still play most bands half their age under the table. They're amazing. They're amazing.
Yeah, me and my kids went and saw them last time they were here in Jersey. We always go, and you know, just great.
I saw them that night. They were with Sick of It All. Thoughts and prayers to Lou. He's battling some health issues too, man. Yeah. Got to take care of our fucking legends out there, man.
Yeah, we need these guys. We need these guys.
Yeah.
You know, Lou, I saw the announcement today that, you know, he's coming. You know, things are coming along now, and he's doing the surgery and stuff. So, you know,
Yeah.
You know, let's go, man. He's got
Well, I
it.
think because I think you've been there and prevalent in Biohazard for so long, people might even forget that there was a drummer even before you for a brief snippet of time. We lost him last year too. Anthony Mio. Yeah.
Yeah, Anthony Mio.
Yep.
I grew up with Anthony Mio. I knew him my whole life, and he went to school with my older brother. And Mio was my friend.
Yeah.
And when I joined Biohazard, he gave me his blessing. And last year he got sick, and he was down in Florida, but I was able to speak to him on the phone. And unfortunately he didn't make it, and he passed last year.
And that's why the olive branch thing is so important, man, because as you said, as we touched on earlier, man, life is short, it is.
Life is short, man. It goes quick.
Yeah.
We've been honoring Mio at like every show we do. We talk about him and honor him during the set. And, he's still a big part of what we do.
Yeah. And what will the release format be like? Are you able to at least say we saw the trend around COVID when people couldn't get out and play. We saw a lot of material coming out, a lot of singles and a lot of short bodies of work, a lot of EPs. What will Biohazard be putting out? Will this be a full length album?
I think so, but we're not there yet. We haven't figured that out yet, how we're going to put it out. I mean, there's a label involved and everything else, but we really haven't dialed in the format of how it's going to be yet.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have 40 minutes worth of music, a whole new record, all new songs, 10, 12 songs, whatever. So however they think is the best way to get it out there and make it make sense. And that's not my job.
Yeah.
That's fine. We'll figure that out.
Well, I did get myself in trouble earlier, so I'll have to go downstairs and check the temperature of my wife, man, and see if she's for hanging out. I was listening to Urban Discipline, and I puffed up my chest and got a little, you want some, man? Because this is the,
That's good.
It pumps you up. It pumps you up, man. I mean, dude, for fuck's sake, I've heard more people tout how amazing that album is, man. So congratulations, man. It's really stood the test of time. But you guys' whole fucking career, man, has just been fucking amazing, man. I love having artists on here just to tell them that, because it's nice to know that their art and their music actually, I think it would be rewarding to actually hear feedback. You know what I mean? And that would mean the most to me, because so many people want to run shit down or whatever, man. But it's got to be nice to to know that this stuff is appreciated and is held up so well, man. I mean, it's an amazing body of work. It is.
It's great. It's an honor for us.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man.
Appreciate it.
I was excited all fucking day when you said you were going to do this, man. This was an honor for me, man. A fellow New Yorker, man. Hey, are you a sports fan?
Yeah, but I'm more like
for New York, I guess, right? I mean, the Mets are out, but the Yanks are still hanging in there, going to the World Series.
Yeah, I'm not really a baseball guy.
Yeah. I don't even know if I want to call what's out there right now baseball, man. All the team sports are just so watered down from what I remember as a kid.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I love sports. I like watching football.
Yeah.
I like playing football. Baseball, kind of boring for me. Yeah. I'm more like a fight guy. I like the fights.
Me too. Yeah, me too. I actually started doing this podcast, and I did 170 some odd episodes of just musicians and people in the arts. Then me and my son co-hosted one together that's on this channel, and we did 160 episodes of a boxing podcast. And we had some amazing people from the fight world on, man. And
that's great.
I mean, guests that I thought that would never pop up on the screen, and then suddenly there they are, Boom Boom Mancini and James Toney, and some of these.
I met Boom Boom before, man. I hung out with Boom Boom. Amazing.
Yeah. Amazing guy, yeah. Well, this was a huge honor for me, man. I appreciate you making the time, man. Thank you so much, man. Listen, hearing the words "new Biohazard music" could be the 3 greatest things that we've gotten in 2024. Yeah,
I hope so.
Yeah, just annexing those 3 words together, man, means a lot to the fans, man. We're excited, man. I'm glad things are going well, man. And stay in touch, man. When things get cooking, I'd love to have you back on again. We'll chop it up again.
All right. Anytime, for sure.
Appreciate you, my brother. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Later. There he goes, folks. The legendary. I'm going to say that with some piss and vinegar. The legendary DANNY SCHULER, the man behind the fucking skins for the great, the seminal, the legendary fucking Biohazard. I feel like fucking is almost like an adjective before Biohazard. or a verb, whatever. Maybe I'm using it in the wrong context, but come on, man. Come on. Fucking Biohazard. And to hear the words new Biohazard music is about as exciting as it fucking gets, man. The last album we got was Reborn in Defiance back in 2012, man. So it has been a dozen years, man. But we're going to get some. And of course, we remember all the seminal albums. I believe, if I'm not misquoting him, that Sal from Sworn Enemy was quoted on this very show as saying that the first 4 Biohazard albums are absolute fucking masterpieces and works of perfection. And hard to disagree with that. I know for a fact, Urban Discipline, fucking come on, man. A landmark fucking album, man, from 1992. You're definitely going to get your metal card fucking pulled, or your hardcore card, whatever genre that they're fucking using on there, man. If you don't know that album, cards fucking pulled, man. You got no right to call yourself a fan of fucking anything. Put your head down, gaze at your shoes, and fucking do the walk of shame right out of here, man. Urban Discipline, man, 1992, man. What a fucking album. Holy fuck. I could go on and on and on just about that album. I won't, man, because I want to end it on a fucking great note, man, and give my props to Danny fucking Schuler, man. That interview was amazing, man. A huge honor to get to spend some time with him, man. Can't say what a big fan I am of that band and of him, man. Great guys, man. Great fucking band. Holy shit, man. Make sure to like and follow us on Facebook. The cool kids, they all come here to chop it up with your boy Rexx Ruger, who after a fucking long interview with a legend is still looking fucking out of sight. But hey, win don't I? And again, man, it's all thanks to Pops. Good genes in the Roth gene pool. What can I say? So make sure to follow us and make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell on this very channel to stay tapped into the best conversations anywhere. I don't give a fuck, man. I'll put the dukes up, man, and fight anybody on that, man. This is where the best conversations are happening. Prove me fucking wrong. Show me otherwise, man. Otherwise, I don't want to hear it. So, as I always say when I end these things, remember, take it easy and keep it sleazy. Look at that. Keep it. Take 2, because I didn't have the stop record on. Remember, guys, here we go again. Let me rewind here. As I always say, remember to take it easy and keep it sleazy. And of course, no editing. You just saw me fuck up and have to run back my closing fucking spiel again. Take it easy and keep it sleazy.